She decided to confront him again, determined to uncover the truth. One evening, under a sky painted with the colors of sunset, Adanna returned to the riverbank where Oba always appeared. As she approached, she found him sitting silently on a rock, staring at the diminishing waters. His expression was heavy, his usual calm replaced with visible sorrow. Days turned into weeks, and the river's decline became impossible to ignore. Oshimiri, once mighty and life-giving, now trickled weakly through the village, its bed littered with cracked stones. The fields began to wither, and the air carried the sharp tang of desperation. The elders met daily, consulting ancient texts and divinations, but no answers came. Adanna couldn't shake the unease building inside her. Her thoughts always drifted to Oba. There was something about his presence, his words, and the urgency in his warning about the river that she couldn't ignore. She decided to confront him again, determined to uncover the truth. One evening, under a sky painted with the colors of sunset, Adanna returned to the riverbank where Oba always appeared. As she approached, she found him sitting silently on a rock, staring at the diminishing waters. His expression was heavy, his usual calm replaced with visible sorrow. "Oba," Adanna began, her voice firm but soft, "I know you're hiding something. The river is dying, and you know why. Tell me the truth." Oba's gaze remained on the water, his shoulders tense. "Adanna, there are things you cannot understand. The river's fate is not yours to bear. But it is," she exclaimed, stepping closer. "This river is our life. Without it, the village will perish. If you know something, you must tell me. Please, Oba." For a long moment, silence stretched between them, broken only by the faint gurgle of the dwindling river. Finally, Oba turned to face her. His luminous eyes glimmered with something unreadable, sadness, perhaps, or a deep-seated fear. "The river," he said slowly, "is alive. It breathes, it dreams, and it feels. It is not just water flowing through the land, it is a spirit, bound to this place and its people." Adanna blinked, struggling to comprehend his words. "A spirit?" Oba nodded. "And like all spirits, it has its own will, its own desires. But Oshimiri is angry. The river suffers, and its suffering reflects the wounds of this village. The greed, the neglect, the broken oaths." His voice trailed off, as though he had said too much. "What do you mean?" Adanna pressed, her heart pounding. "What oaths? What wounds?" Oba hesitated, then sighed deeply. "Long ago, the river and the village were bound by a sacred covenant. The people promised to honor and protect Oshimiri, and in return, the river blessed them with abundance. But over time, the covenant was forgotten. The villagers grew careless, polluting the waters, taking more than they gave. And now, Oshimiri withholds its gifts." Adanna's chest tightened with guilt. She thought of the waste she had seen in the river, broken pots, rotting food, even dead animals discarded carelessly. The elders had often warned against disrespecting the river, but their words had become mere tradition, ignored by many. "Is there a way to restore the covenant?" she asked, desperation creeping into her voice. Oba's eyes darkened. "There is, but it comes at a price. Adanna swallowed hard. What price? Before Oba could answer, a sudden commotion erupted from the village. Voices rose in panic, and the faint glow of torches flickered through the trees. Adanna and Oba hurried back, their footsteps quick and silent. In the center of the village, a crowd had gathered around the chief and the elders. At their feet lay the carcass of a cow, its bloated body reeking of decay. The chief raised his staff, his voice booming over the frightened murmurs. "The river has rejected our offering," he declared. "We must act swiftly, or we are doomed." Adanna felt a chill run down her spine. The river's anger was palpable, its rejection a clear sign of deeper unrest. She turned to Oba, but he was gone, vanished into the shadows as he always did. The days that followed were filled with tension. The villagers began to whisper about curses and spirits, their fear growing with each passing day. The fields continued to dry, and even the skies seemed to conspire against them, withholding rain. Adanna's mind was consumed by Oba's words and the truth he had revealed. She knew she couldn't ignore it any longer. One evening, she returned to the riverbank, hoping to find him again. This time, Oba was waiting for her. "You came back," he said quietly. "I need to know," Adanna said, her voice trembling. "You said there's a way to restore the covenant. What is it? What price must we pay?" Oba hesitated, his eyes searching hers. Finally, he spoke. "The river requires a sacrifice. A life must be given to appease Oshimiri and heal the bond between the river and the village." Adanna's breath caught in her throat. A life? Whose life? Oba's gaze dropped to the ground. "The river chooses. It always chooses." The weight of his words hung heavily in the air. Adanna's thoughts raced. Who would the river choose? Would it be an elder? A child? Could she stand by and watch as someone she loved was taken? Is there no other way? She pleaded. Oba shook his head. "This is the way it has always been. The river gives life, but it also demands it." Adanna's heart ached with helplessness. She looked at Oba, searching for answers, for hope, but all she saw was sorrow. "Why do you care so much?" she asked suddenly. "Why are you here, warning me, telling me all this?" For the first time, Oba's composure cracked. He looked at her with an intensity that made her pulse quicken. "Because I care for you, Adanna. More than I should." Adanna's breath hitched. The unspoken feelings that had grown between them now hung in the air, undeniable and raw. "I care for you too," she whispered. Oba reached for her hand, his touch warm and steady. "Then trust me," he said. "Whatever happens, trust that I will protect you." But as the river continued to dwindle, Adanna's trust in Oba was tested. The villagers, desperate and afraid, turned to darker measures. The chief decreed that the river spirits must be appeased immediately, and preparations for a human sacrifice began. Adanna watched in horror as a young boy was chosen, a boy barely older than her younger sibling. The village erupted in protest, but the chief silenced them with a raised hand. "This is the only way," he said grimly. That night, as the boy's family wept and the village prepared for the ritual, Adanna made a decision. She would not let an innocent life be taken. If a sacrifice was needed, she would offer herself. But when she returned to the river to tell Oba of her choice, he revealed a secret that changed everything.